Hello and welcome to the Revenue Execution Podcast hosted by Model N. My name is David Johnson, and I will be your host for today's episode. For this episode, we are joined by Model N CEO Jason Blessing, and we're going to talk about the upcoming Model N conference, customer conference and industry event called Rainmaker. It's going to be held in Miami Beach from March 18th to the 20th at the beautiful Fontainebleau Resort. So with that, Jason, this is your first Rainmaker. What are you looking forward to the most going into the event?
Yeah, hi, David. Thanks for having me today. So, I'm very excited about this event. I always love user conferences because they're really such a great opportunity to meet so many customers face-to-face in one place and get feedback on how we're doing as a company. This year, we've also got a number of partners who are helping us sponsor the event, and it'll be great to see our partners and interact with them as well as our customers. And, the last thing I will say is I'm really excited for the content and the discussions that are going to occur at the event this year. There's a lot of very interesting things going on in the headlines today that are going to be discussed at Rainmaker. And so I think this is really a fantastic opportunity for us to share and learn from each other.
Yeah, great. That's fantastic. Clayton has been announced as the guest keynote. How did you come to select Clayton?
Well, I must admit I am personally an avid amateur photographer. So when the idea of having Clayton came up, I was naturally drawn to his story as a famous photographer. And as I learned more about him, it turns out that he's actually behind the camera for some of the most famous photographs over the last 10, 15 years that many people will no doubt recognize. But beyond the photographs, he is an absolute master storyteller, and he shares a number of personal interest stories about the celebrities that he photographs. And I just personally found his stories to be fascinating and a great way to better understand the human side of some of the people who are really shaping our life and times. So overall, I think his art, his photographs, his stories about the people in the photographs and what was happening on that particular day, I think are just fascinating. And I hope our customers will also find him to be very interesting.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm excited to see him as well. You are going to take the stage as well for a keynote. What can attendees expect from your keynote?
Yes. So as we said, this is my first Rainmaker. So there's going to be a couple things that I'm going to talk about. First of all, I'll be introducing myself as the person, just so people know a little bit more about me and my background and the experience that's led up to joining Model N. I think it's also really important this year to give a thoughtful update on our company. Obviously, over the last several quarters, we've been making some refinements to our strategy to try and build a better company and a better partner for our customers. So I'll certainly be talking about that. And then I'll talk more about some of the trends that are driving our industry and some of the themes that we'll be discussing throughout Rainmaker. As I said, a lot of the headlines that we see today coming out of Washington have direct effects on our customers, and I think we've got just a fantastic lineup of thought leadership speakers and interesting topics to cover, and I'll be teeing those up and kicking them off in the keynote.
Great. Kicking off the Wednesday, we're going to have the product keynote, which I know a lot of attendees will be interested in. What can attendees expect there in the product keynote?
Well, first and foremost, the product keynote is going to be an opportunity for us to talk about the innovation that we've delivered over the last 12 to 18 months and talk about what the key product updates are that we have planned coming out over the next 12 to 18 months. So lots of focus on product roadmap. We also have a couple of new products that we'll be talking about that I'm very excited about. And we're also going to hear from some of our customers on how they're using the products. And I think customer testimonials are always really the most compelling endorsement for products. But that's all I'm going to share in this podcast. I certainly don't want to steal Niraj's thunder, so everyone will have to show up on Wednesday to get the details.
Great. Who else can we expect to see and hear from at Rainmaker this year?
Boy, we have a fantastic lineup. Let me say this. I think we keep really good company, and we have an amazing group of industry experts speaking at Rainmaker this year. And I'll list a few of them. First is Adam Fine. He's the CEO of Drug Channels Institute, and Adam is a major influencer in the pharmaceutical industry and has also been very influential in some of the recently proposed legislation from Health and Human Services. John Shakow is also speaking. He spoke at our last Rainmaker X. He's a partner at King and Spalding. And John is another expert on the changing regulatory field, really focuses on the complex regulatory issues in both pharma and biotech. So two great industry experts there. We've also got Jay McBain, who's attending. He's a principal analyst at Forrester and really a leading thought leader on channel sales and channel marketing. Larry Walsh is CEO at the 2112 Group. Larry is one of the most recognizable figures in the IT channel sales industry and is considered one of the more forward-thinking leaders in the space. And additionally, Malcolm Penn, who's the CEO of Future Horizons. Malcolm has more than 50 years experience in the global electronics and semiconductor industry and has demonstrated an uncanny ability to predict major disruptions in the industry. So overall, a very exciting group of speakers, all of which are very knowledgeable and very well known, and I think are going to come together to make this a great event.
Fantastic. And then what else can people expect? Opportunities for socializing, networking with other attendees and other things. What can they find there for that?
Well, certainly it wouldn't be a user conference without an opportunity to socialize and network a bit. So we have a couple of events that really stick out to me that I think will promote that. First is a welcome reception on the first night, where we'll get things kicked off, and it's a great opportunity to reconnect with people you haven't seen in a while, connect with some of the industry experts that I just discussed. They'll be in attendance. And then the other big event that I think is going to be fun from a social perspective as well as a networking perspective is the Cloud9 party at Live Nightclub. So overall, it's going to be a great event, David, and I am really looking forward to seeing everyone there and having fantastic discussions. Fantastic.
Thank you very much, Jason, for your time today and joining us on the podcast. Really appreciate your input and your insight on Rainmaker.
You bet. I'm looking forward to it, David. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, and for those of you listening into the podcast, if you want to find out more about Rainmaker 2019, go to modeln.com/Rainmaker to learn more and to register. Thanks again for joining the podcast today.